Hey guys, this video is going to be a review of the second half of season 2 of Supernatural, and I looked into it when I was getting ready to do this video, and I filmed the first half of season 1 review that I did, and that is a video that I put up like 4 months ago, and then all of my reviews on Supernatural since then have been on my blog, I think because the way I review such huge chunks of the season, it's easier to do a blog post than a video, but I'm going to do a video review again for the first time in 4 months. So I have quite a lot of notes here on my phone, and this is cut down from the notes I wrote down as I was watching the episode. So we're going to try and hurry through this. And most of this is probably just going to be me randomly commenting on things and not really saying much because I want to get through it. But the first episode that I'm including in this review is the one where the guy thought that it was a droid doing everything, which I thought was hilarious because he's like a conspiracy theorist and could have been right but wasn't. But also Dean's quote about "I like him, he says okie dokie" was hilarious to me. I have several quotes written down from these episodes that were like my favorite, and that was definitely one of them. But also like the bank robbery and the FBI in that episode was really, really intense, and I really enjoyed that, and it was interesting because that, like, I feel like some of the stuff that happened in these episodes got more like high stakes than normal because it included like the bank robbery and what else? I have something else written down, but just like a lot of big things I feel like in these episodes happened. And there was an episode in this second half of the season that dealt with a priest, the ghost of a priest, and a Catholic church, which is interesting to me because I was raised Catholic and everything. So like having all of that was very interesting. Like I just really kind of liked that, and there's a lot of discussion of religion in that episode, and Dean and Sam discussing whether things exist, Dean talking about how he sees demons every day so he knows that they exist, but he's never seen an angel, which is interesting to me because they're the Mortal Instruments, which are behind me right now, has demons and all that too, and there's actually like really similar discussion in one of the Mortal Instruments books. Like they have almost the same discussion about how they see demons because they fight them, but they've never seen angels. So, and I really, really like that kind of theme and things because I think it's very interesting. So I really liked that episode, and I really kind of just enjoyed that. Might have been my favorite episode of these episodes that I'm reviewing right now. Although I don't really know if I should say it's my favorite episode because I really liked a lot of these episodes. Like these were probably my favorite set of episodes so far. The next episode was like the trickster episode, which I really enjoyed, and I really, really loved when Sam and Dean were each recounting the story and making the other look bad. I thought that that was hilarious, and I really liked how that was done. The episode with the girl who they're like helping, and then at the end of the episode it's revealed that she's really dead, was interesting and also very Sixth Sense-like, which I actually love that movie, and I thought that that was interesting. Dean also has a quote from that episode. I think it was from this episode. I was kind of unclear about it when I wrote it down, which I need to get better at, but Dean has a quote that "you're like a walking encyclopedia of weirdness," which was another one of my favorite quotes from these episodes. Then we have the episode with the girl who's a werewolf and all the stuff happening between her and Sam, and then having to kill her because they couldn't like stop her from being a werewolf. And that was a really emotional episode, and I really enjoyed that one as well. It was just something that I keep saying, but it's true. And I really liked how that was done, and I really enjoyed that episode, but it was a bit more like emotional in comparison to other ones. Like the trickster episode was more funny, and this one was more kind of emotional, I think, and I really like how we have both of those in this season. Then we go into the episode that takes place on a movie set, and I wrote down so many notes on this episode because one thing you have to understand about me, I find the like filmmaking process so interesting. I have, you know, those illustrated movie companion guides. I don't think you can see any of them on my shelf because I think they're too high up to be in the screen. I have so many like official illustrated movie companion books for pretty much everything they make them on, I think, because and like not even just those, I have other films on like this is how this was made or this movie was made and stuff like that, because I find it so interesting how movies are made, and I just really, really just love like that entire filmmaking process. So having an episode that took place in a movie set was really fun for me, because I kind of have like, you know how people have those things that they're like drawn to in stories? Like I love like books, movies, film, TV, anything that takes place on a film set. If I know that it takes place on a film set, I will probably want to read it or watch it or whatever, because I just find it so fascinating. So I was really excited about this episode as soon as it started and I realized it was going to take place on a film set. I was like immediately drawn to that, and I wrote down a ton. So we're going to try, even though I've already gone on a kind of rant about it, we're going to try and keep this as short as possible. First of all, they made a Gilmore joke, which I thought was hilarious because I was never really extremely into Gilmore Girls, but my sister was. And I keep forgetting that I actually want to talk about this with her, because she was obsessed with Gilmore Girls and she watches Supernatural now. So like, and she's past this point, so I want to talk to her about how there was a Gilmore joke and I haven't. But I loved that because I thought it was hilarious, because I remember one of the things Regina said to me when I had her watch the first episode was she made a comment about how it was the guy from the guy from Gilmore Girls on the show. So I thought that was hilarious. There's also a guy who was in Rain in this episode, which I thought was hilarious, and I was really surprised to like see him because I wasn't expecting it. But Rain is one of my favorite TV shows, and I follow him on Twitter, and he's awesome on Twitter, and he was just randomly in this episode, and I was like, wow, that's really cool. And obviously this is like way before Rain, so I thought that that was really cool. But I just thought like a lot of the kind of film references in this episode were cool, like the joke about PAs being like slaves, like they don't know what a PA is, and then I think it was Dean who said that he thought that they were basically slaves, but that's so like true from everything I know about filmmaking and like everything, so I thought that that was hilarious. But Dean getting so into it and everything was just awesome, and I really loved that. I also find it interesting that Dean knows so much about movies, like he's making constant movie references when in other instances to like pop culture, like one that's immediately coming to mind is the MySpace reference from earlier, when Dean didn't know what MySpace was. Like he's so clueless about all of these things, but yet he knows all of these movie references, which I find really interesting. The entire episode where they're in prison was interesting. That one, along with the bank robbery one, kind of seemed like the biggest like high stakes episode kind of episodes, which I found really interesting and kind of intense, I suppose is a good word. I also really loved the episode with the gin. I just found that really interesting, and also like another really big emotional episode. I also really like how there was a comparison between I Dream of Jeannie and Bewitched in this episode, like as a random comment, because I always get those shows confused. Like there's shows that as a kid I watched sometimes, like with I think mainly my grandmother, like at her house and stuff, but I have trouble distinguishing the two shows in my head. Like I always get them confused and forget that they're two different shows. So them being referenced in comparison to each other was interesting to me, and that's just such a random comment, but I thought of that when it happened. But it was really interesting to see kind of like this dream world that Dean had created, and like just all of that was very interesting to me and also extremely emotional. And we go into like season finale where Dean gets kidnapped. It's Sam. Sam gets kidnapped. I don't know why I keep saying the wrong name, but Sam gets kidnapped. I really liked the quote about how I just woke up on freaking Frontierland. I don't know what my sister is doing in her closet, and I don't know if you can hear that. There are weird noises. I'm really kind of disappointed that everyone that he was kidnapped with either goes kind of like crazy or dies, especially Ava and Jake, who both like become really terrible. Like I really liked Ava when she was in the earlier episode, and I really liked Jake too for the part that he was not trying to kill everyone. And I'm like upset that they were so easily like, well, I don't want to say easily, I mean they were put in really bad situations. I'm not entirely sure how anyone would react to being put in their position, but that was kind of sad because I really liked them until I didn't. It's also really sad that the Roadhouse burned down, but I don't really know what else to say about that, but I felt like I should mention it at least really briefly. Also, not much has really come from this yet story-wise. well, I'm only reviewing up to the second half of season 2, but I've watched part of season 3. But their mom knew the demon, and more kind of has been revealed with that in season 3 so far, which I don't want to talk about, but not much. But that's interesting, and I look forward to seeing how that factors into the story later. And then, of course, we have the whole big ending where Dean makes the deal to save Sam's life, and they open the Devil's Gate, and all these demons get out, and the "you're my big brother, there's nothing I wouldn't do for you" quote, which is the last quote I wrote down that I absolutely loved. But that is proving to be interesting because, of course, I'm partly into season 3 already, and so Dean making that deal has become like an important plot point. But that was all very like epic into the season, and really awesome. Like, I loved the season finale, and I'm really liking season 3 so far, which is interesting because another thing I want to point out, like, I was reading reviews, particularly on Netflix, but other places too, and I've seen so many people talk about the show went downhill after the second season. Like, I've seen multiple reviews who say that the first 2 seasons are the best, and they don't say that the show's necessarily bad afterwards, although some people have said that they've stopped watching the show after a certain point. But like, everyone kind of agrees that the first 2 seasons, or everyone seems to agree, I don't know like for sure, but that the first 2 seasons were the best, and then they got worse. And I haven't really seen that yet with season 3, but I'm kind of worried. So I don't know how I'm going to feel about them. I'm only a couple episodes on season 3. So far I like it though, but I am a bit nervous now since like so many people seem to think that I got worse after season 2. So I don't know how or like what's going to happen, but we'll see. I think that's all that I say, and I hope that this wasn't too long. Hopefully I'll do another Supernatural review soon, although I don't know exactly when because it is kind of easier to do them on my blog. But I will see you guys later. Bye.